Hello, I'm Scott Thompson, and welcome to After 10. To commemorate the 60th anniversary of the Armistice Agreement that brought an end to the Korean War, a special project all the way from Italy is attracting attention. It is Opera JSA, based on a best-selling Korean novel turned blockbuster movie. Today on After 10, we are joined by two members of the opera's cast and crew, its conductor and its baritone, to hear how this Italian opera is portraying the story of a divided Korea.
The joint security area located at the military demarcation line in the Korean peninsula. The mystery novel DMZ became a bestseller and was later turned into a movie. Directed by Park Chan-wook and starring Lee Young-ae, Lee Byung-hun, and Song Kang-ho, the film was a hit with Korean audiences drawing in about 60 million moviegoers. And one Italian composer who was mesmerized by the story turned JSA into an opera. North and South Korean soldiers are murdered at Panmunjom. Following the story about how the truth is uncovered, Opera JSA opened in Korea to commemorate the 60th year of the end of the Korean War. How did the Italians portray the pain of a divided Korea through Opera JSA?
Thank you both very much for being on the show. Now, the very first performance of Opera JSA is tomorrow. It's going to run for 3 days. When did the both of you first come to Korea, and how are preparations going?
We are here since 2 weeks, so we worked hard. We rehearsed very hard, music and stage, and we are very happy to be here. We are very charged and hope all the best about the performance, of course.
And Daniele, this is not just the first overseas performance of Opera JSA. It's the first performance here in the home country where the opera is based. I imagine with opening night just around the corner, you must feel a lot of anticipation. How do you feel?
Yes, I feel good. I think that for me is an honor. I'm very proud for this. And I can say that I was the conductor of the first performance 11 years ago in Italy, in Rome.
And let's get a little bit of a background about Opera JSA. You mentioned it was first performed 11 years ago. Tell us a little bit about the opera itself and how it began.
Yes, one day, 11 years ago, the composer of the opera, Michele Bighi Panetti, called me and he asked me, Daniele, do you want to conduct my new opera Lyrica? Yes, what's the subject? The subject is JSA, Joint Security Area. And so we started to study for the places, the plots, and so on, and then in a musically way too.
And Maro, this is a very Korea-centric story, of course, which begs the question, why turn it into an opera in Italy? How did the process come about?
Well, personally, I think that this is a story of a truce. And we had a lot of truces in our wars, of course, in Europe and Italy. And I think it's an eternal story, a human story of people who lives in a truce and deeply don't want to be there and fight to be outside, to live his life, to have freedom, to have joy. And I think this is a very important question about, you know. So I think this is a Korean, but also a human story about it.
When you personally look at the story, what piqued your interest initially? How did you feel when you first learned about the story?
I felt interested, I felt related about it because I thought about how can life be, life can be living in a situation like that. I personally, I cannot like a life like that. So I felt a movement of like fight for myself to not be in a situation like that. This was very moving for me, and I feel very attracted about this story.
And Daniele, when you first came across this project 11 years ago, what about it piqued your interest? What sort of got you interested in the project itself?
Well, the story very particularly. Historically in Europe, in last years, we had the Germany experience, West and East Germany. I was born in Germany and I lived there from the birth to my 4 years old in whole Cold War. Well, when I grew up, I was 21 years ago, 20 years old, Germany became one nation. So there are some parallelism, but I know that the European experience is historical now.
So you felt a connection to the story?
There is a sort of a connection because I felt when I was very young the thought of the West German persons, people in confront of the Eastern.
How was it received by Italian audiences?
Oh, it was a very great event, yes, with a lot of public and people. The public was very interested to the subject of the opera.
As I mentioned at the top, this started as a novel, turned into a movie, and is now in opera. What efforts did you make, Mato, to better acquaint yourself with the story itself into what it is today?
I think I can speak for the company too. The problem is always to concentrate a movie role, for example, which has a lot of chances to express himself in a movie, which is long 3 or 4 hours, to concentrate it all in an area, in a small part of the opera, which is 3 minutes as usual in an opera, and to give all the emotions and the parts of this character in just a small time like this. This is a universal problem for opera singers. We have no a long plot to do. We have a few minutes to express. We are helped by the music, of course, but it's a problem to give in a small period all the emotion and all the strength of the character.
And how about yourself, Daniele? When you first came across the script, how did you best acquaint yourself with it?
I can add that, yes, the musical ways the composer used for this opera are basically in 2 characters. One is very military, so soldiers and so on, but there is the human part, sentimental parts, and there is music with romantic melodies and so on, because are described the thoughts of the characters, and so the thoughts became music in this way.
As with most operas, you develop a relationship with the characters in it, of course. From the time you began working on this project to today, how have your perceptions of the 2 Koreas, the Korean Peninsula, the Korean War, how have your perceptions changed of those things?
It's a very complex argument. I can speak with a lot of people here, and there are different feelings, but I think there is a root in common, which is the common universal root. People want to live in peace, want to live together, want to have contacts, want to meet culture. And this is a root which slowly is growing, and I think it will grow here too. And this is a feeling I had living here.
I can say the same thing, yes. The opera is about friendship, brothership. I saw the film too. In the film are there parts where the soldiers that are against call the other brother, and this is very important. But not brother for 2 Koreans, but because all the humanity, all we are brothers.
We talked about the novel and the movie. How is the opera different from the novel and or the movie?
The film is a very modern, is a plot complex, and it is no diachronical, so there is many flashbacks, you know. In the plot of the opera, there is a start, is a during, and finished. So the structure of the opera is with the time. Okay, this is one important difference.
It goes chronologically.
Chronologically,
down the line.
Yes.
Now there may be some people out there who have neither read the novel or seen the movie JSA, Opera JSA. Tell us a little bit about the plot of the opera.
Well, the opera, the action of the opera starts in the joint security area, and there are a few South Korean soldiers. Then I don't want to say in what manner because it's a surprise, but who knows the story knows that. They start to have a relationship with northern Korean soldiers. That's a very particular situation, and so the situation grows up, and after that there are some accidents, and a Union Nation Committee is going to understand what was done. And so the United Nations Committee goes to have an investigation and what was the matter of this accident.
And this is a story about relationships at the core, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. The plot has this bone always, which sustains the whole story. It's the relationship which starts as a war, starts as aggressive, and slowly turn in the brothership. And it's the very interesting thing, I think.
This is a uniquely Korean story put on by an Italian production company, of course. Korean audiences that do come to this show, are they going to recognize things from the book, from the movie when they come?
I think so, even if there are some difference, of course, but I think they will recognize a lot. I was impressed by the score, the numbers of the movie, which was seen by the first week 800,000 people, or in Seoul only. It was impressive, terrific, and I think this interest will generate some interest for the opera too, which is a different art, but it's a very important art which can use music. Music is the main character of the evening, and it will add something to this success, will be triumph of arts explaining this story.
What do you see Korean audiences recognizing when they come to the opera?
You can recognize characters, feelings. I think that brothership, friendship are international, but there are Korean elements too, point of views in the dialogues and so on.
And let's talk about the songs, of course, about the opera. Tell us a little bit about them and what they represent.
Well, I always interpret the song as a theme, you know? And this opera is composed in this way. There are a lot of themes in the music. Every situation has a theme. It's called leitmotiv. Is a style of the composer which gives to every situation a music who's like a subtitle, a musical subtitle to every situation, or many characters has a leitmotiv, like in the opera since 18th century. But and there are two I know. We studied, and somebody told us, of course, because we didn't know, some Korean popular song. One is No Wana. I'm sorry for my poor Korean, but this is one very important song which you can recognize in the premiere, and this is very important to related the opera work to popular song and let the people recognize music. This is very important to the audience to feel close to the composition. No?
And songs in both Italian and Korean, then?
Well, the opera was written in Italian language, no? Like opera, like historic Italian opera. So there are a few chants with original Korean language, yes.
As a conductor, which songs speak to you from the opera?
Well, I can speak about musical themes because they changed during the complexing opera and going on. So I think the theme of the friendship, of the brothership, a very romantic melody that we can feel echoes by Puccini, by romantic composer, European composers. It's a surprise for the public, yes, I think.
And Mario, you're the baritone. Which piece moves you or is going to move other people, do you think?
Actually, I have to thank Daniele because that is my team. So when I start in the stage, that is my team, no? Which is I have a long walk, and in this walk, the orchestra played this theme in a wonderful way. It is I don't say a word, I don't sing, but these 5 steps I do, they're very moving for me because I feel this music which express, I don't know, something, a will, an idea of friendship, and it is very, very moving for me. Maybe actually the best part is before I sing. When I sing, I have other problems, but anyway, the atmosphere built by this music is wonderful, very, very moving.
You speak about some of the problems. As we mentioned, this is a uniquely Korean story. What are some of the challenges that you've come across throughout your experience here with the opera?
I told you, of course it's a Korean story, but I feel like a human story, human history. So I had no problems to think about myself as a Korean soldier who watched to his brothers and tried to have connection with them. I had no problem at all. I felt like a universal history.
Any challenges for you?
No, no problem. But yes, to be a conductor, I have to work with my singers, and so with different characters. So, but I have to say that every soldier is either part a soldier, so in an education, a martial way and point of view, and so on. But every character has a very human thoughts and soul.
We should speak about why the opera has come here. I know this has been a long process to actually get it here, correct?
Yes, yes. It was composed 10 years ago, and so I knew when we arrived here in Korea that newspaper spoke about this new opera, and they called that this opera was performed 11 years ago in Italy. Then after 10 years, 11 years of sleeping, now is waking up here in Korea.
And the occasion being what exactly?
The occasion was that an organization here in Korea invited all of us, and so the composer told me to restart working, and so we have a new cast and so on.
And particularly timely, this is the 60th anniversary of the Armistice Agreement, of course, that brought an end to the Korean War. I understand there were also plans to tour China with this particular opera, but those plans fell through. What happened there?
It's, of course, maybe there was a proposal of do the opera, and the organization tried to start, but it is a very sensitive problem now, political problem. So maybe they planned to make it later, maybe because now it's too hard to them to organize it for the problematic problem of the partnership, because there is, of course, a partnership between China and North Korea. So it is a very sensitive problem to plan it, but maybe later.
What reactions, I'll ask both of you this, what reactions, what do you hope the Korean audiences that come to these performances get out of the show itself?
It's like a love story. We always try to do our best to conquer the public, conquer the audience. We do our efforts to do it, and we wait bows, claps, and a hug from the audience. It's so we always hope it when we work. Who knows?
Daniele?
Well, I found in Italy with the cast, and now here in Korea with the orchestra or the organizations and so on, a very professional point of view. So we are prepared, and so we want that the opera will be a very success.
And after Opera JSA finishes on the 29th, what do you have next planned?
Yes, a few concerts next month and the recordings too.
And Mauro?
I have, of course, concerts are our bread, because we have a concertistic activity, and we have to keep it always alive. And next opera for me is Falstaff, Verdi Falstaff. So I'm preparing to do it next month.
Thank you very much for being on the show and sharing your insights. We encourage, of course, everybody to go check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
And thank you, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time after 10.